Welcome back to Boo and Tony sometime during the day.
Sometime during the day.
That's what we're going to be calling this show. Now, Boo and Tony sometime during the day.
At some point.
At some point. Boo and Tony
B&T
at some point.
at some point.
That has a good ring to it. Welcome back. My name is Boo Maddox, team lead of the #1 team in the state of Utah, the #1 team at Real Broker, #1 team in the world, soon to be the most profitable team in the United States, but we're not going to get into that right now.
We're not going to get into that right now.
For a later day.
We're cooking on some stuff.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. My name is Tony Acosta, 13-year agent, principal broker, been an agency owner, like his pitch. We're here at the #1 team in the world at Real Broker. I'm excited about today's stuff.
Hey, we got some merit badges being collected. We got some greedy builders. You love that line. I know that you like the merit badge line.
Me and T were talking.
Save it.
Yeah, I will. But we were talking about this off camera. Okay. You've been going off on people on Threads.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Thank you.
Talk to us about that.
You know what? It's a great place that you can say whatever you want to and nobody can fact check you.
For now.
It's the internet. It's absolutely incredible. It's just as Elon Musk intended it to be when he opened up the internet for us. Right. And we're happy to be here. The other big thing that I love about Threads is if you look at it analytically, it is the single greatest platform that I have seen so far for getting in front of people that are not currently following you.
Yes.
When I went and looked at my analytics, I was blown away at the amount of, it was like 10% of followers had seen my stuff, 90% of people that were not following me were the people that were seeing and interacting with my stuff.
It's underrated.
I'm a big fan of that. So if you're not already on Threads, become a seamstress and start threading today.
That's the quote of the day.
Let's go.
Let's go, Tingy.
Who's up first? That's you.
So this is Alexis Fleming, the realtor.
Not a realtor.
The realtor. Alexis, I genuinely empathize with realtors not knowing certain things, but please stop asking those questions on a platform full of consumers. It's just a bad look. Ask your broker, ask a more experienced agent, join a Facebook group, something other than a platform such as this. So my question for you, Boo Maddox, do you agree? Is it a bad look for an agent to go and complain about their broker, ask about this, ask about that, in a place where a consumer might see that in a public forum? Good idea, bad idea? Does it matter?
Yeah, I think if you don't care about getting leads from social media, it's fantastic. Jump in and ask all your stupid questions. If you care about getting leads from social media and you're being deemed and you're worried about being deemed as the local neighborhood expert,
careful what you say.
Yeah, probably don't be posting this stuff. To me, there is no advantage to it other than you're going to get flooded with a bunch of people's opinions that probably also don't know the answer. They're just too ignorant to say that they don't know the answer.
And other agents.
And other agents. No, that's what I'm saying. You're going to have other agents respond that they don't know the answer any better than you do. And I think I feel empathy just like the realtor did here. I think I feel empathy for these people. If you're not in a position, whether you're on a team or a brokerage, where you feel like you can go and ask your broker or the agents, like Tony, the amount of stuff that never even touches my desk from questions that agents in our team have because other agents on the team are fielding that is crazy. So if you are, and this is where I feel the empathy, if you are not in a position where you feel like you can go to your broker, go to your team leader, go to the team and ask questions of them that might be deemed as dumb questions, the only dumb questions to me are the ones that you don't ask, but don't post it on social media.
Don't post it on social media. And here it's perception is reality. And it doesn't mean fake it till you make it.
No.
It doesn't mean talk about stuff that you don't understand. But again, what you want to do is try to maximize your strengths and limit your weaknesses. Everybody's gonna have strengths and weaknesses, but if you want to convert on social, then you have to try to master some set of the market, some program, something for some individual. Go all in on that, ask your questions offline. I completely agree.
Yeah, and that just because you're asking it, I mean, there's everybody in the world has probably had that exact same question. But you got to understand, agents are getting paid for two things. Number one, the knowledge that you have, but then number two, more than anything, the implementation. Yes. If you don't have the knowledge on the front end, you are not going to be able to implement anything on the back end, and nobody's going to be able to trust you as the go-to expert. Don't show what you don't know right off the bat and give people the impression that, hey, if this gets dicey and it's not a traditional conventional loan with 5% down and super easy, you're missing the mark.
Right. I love it.
Okay, roll it, Tingy. Ooh.
Broker policy. Let's go.
You'll love to see it. Broker policy. This was a screenshot. You posted it. I stole it. This community does not offer a cooperating broker commission payment program.
Our friends at Lennar.
Lennar Home. Shout out to our friends at Lennar Home. Even if they are offering it, I have seen, at least in our marketplace, depending on how quickly the house is going to be done, anywhere from 1% to 1.5% to maybe 2%. But I actually have a script for this, and that's why I picked this one, because I want to give people what script I use to help get 3% on one of these transactions.
Spit it.
Before we do that, I want to know, do you think this is going to become more common or less common with the new NAR settlement?
I think in the short term it becomes more common, because I think, and we had this conversation at Edge, I think a lot of builders are going to be enticed by the added revenue. But I think in the long run, it's actually counterproductive. I think that when you talk about the biggest swear word in real estate, steering, this causes steering. Naturally, agents are going to take their people somewhere else. And eventually, Lennar is going to look at their numbers and be like, hey, we're losing market share to an Edge Homes, to whoever else is actually paying 2+%, and they're going to reverse course very, very, very quickly. This is going to cause steering. I absolutely believe this is going to cause steering in the worst possible way.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, because my opinion right now is based on where the market at. This is a market where builders need production. They need transactions desperately right now. So I think that you're going to see more of it today. When the market turns and it starts to look like 2019, 2020, 2021, when all you had to do was put a sign in the yard and the house would sell itself, it'll be very interesting to see at that point if they are still offering a commission.
Do you think we get there though? To that degree?
I think it's going to be very market specific. If you look at what Utah's market is today, especially Utah County where we are today, 40% of our available inventory is new construction. Those builders that are supplying that inventory today are not bringing on new lots for a year from now and 2 years from now and 3 years from now.
That's fair.
So if that gets bought up and that gets dried up because interest rates go from 7 to 5, I don't know what happens to that inventory. And then when that does happen, what you're going to see is you're going to have an 18 to 24 month gap, like we were just talking about with some of these builders.
Yep.
You're going to have an 18 to 24 month gap where none of that inventory is able to come on the market, not because the builder doesn't want to, but because that's how long it takes to get stuff entitled. That can be some dark days as far as inventory. If we were to lose 45 to 50% of our inventory today, what does that mean our market looks like? It looks very different than it does today.
I agree. I just don't know that 5% gets us to that extreme to where this becomes an effective strategy.
I think the only reason that I believe it gets us to that extreme, I'm saying that we're further away from that. I'm just saying we are very close to that inventory not existing like it does today. And when I say that that could happen, I think what I mean by that is builders don't have a ton like people think that they do.
True, but in order for this to work though, you need a frenzy to where you basically don't need buyer agents.
Yeah.
You can.
That's what they're banking on.
You can get rid of them. I don't know that we get there outside of 4% rates.
Okay, so here's my script. I promised the people a script. Let's give the people a script. I had a buyer that loved Lennar. They loved the build. They loved the home itself. When the agent called me, they said, hey, what did you think? And the script that I used was, hey, agent, they absolutely loved the house. When we talked about submitting an offer, I explained to them that I had signed my buyer's broker agreement at 3%. You guys are offering 1%. So when I explained to the buyer that they would have to come into the closing with that 2% difference, they decided they wanted to see some other houses. Within 30 minutes, I got a text back from the agent and they said, hey,
guess what?
Turns out we just got that one approved. This doesn't normally happen. But we're good on the 3%.
That's the thing, bro. I mean, I understand that trying to catch the sucker that's going to do it for 1%. I just don't know if that's the right strategy. I feel like most agents are smarter than that. And especially if they use a script like yours, the fact that you get that call back 30 minutes means it's there, dude. It's there. Like,
it means that they need the transactions.
Of course.
It means that they need the transactions. But the reality is, number one, if you didn't have that conversation with your buyer up front about what your BAC is going to be, regardless on who pays it, that's the caveat. Right. I was fully comfortable asking my buyer to bring in that extra 2% if they decided they wanted to have that house. And they knew that from the time that we signed the buyer broker agreement. If you are unwilling to have that conversation up front like we are supposed to be having now,
then you take whatever's there.
Then you take whatever's there and you say, I'll just reduce it if we find something that you don't like. You have to be able to stand on that. And I think that that's probably what builders are going to be testing more than anything, is how resolute these buyers agents are actually going to be.
Yeah, and I don't feel like that's a good bet. I feel like if you have 3% budgeted in, it will actually become...
It's a lot of money though. Like I used to be able to see Edge's back end on stuff, tens of millions of dollars every single year towards paying real estate agents. They ran at a 90-something% represented rate, which is the anomaly in our business. Sure. They've steered into the buyer's agent community and they are trusting that they will carry them through.
But at that point, 2.5, anything above 2 becomes a strong differentiator.
I do think that we'll start to see that before we start to see the commission completely go away. You'll just start to see builders, and we saw it in 2020. You had builders like in Ivory Homes that used to take off the lot price and say, we'll pay you on the build, but we're not going to pay you on the lot price. Well, who determines what that lot price is? That was not bought off of the MLS.
Right, correct.
You can't, that build price or that lot price is whatever the builder assigns it to be. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what builders start to do with that commission. So roll it, Tangy.
People trust agents who are visible. Are you hosting open houses, attending community events, and staying present in your market? The reason why I chose this, because I recently read a book, I reread a book, it's called Society of the Spectacle. It talks all about, the punchline is, what is seen is good, and what is good is seen. So there's this perception that whatever gets seen out there, they're being seen for a reason. That's why people still do, that's why you have people that will do bus the bus ads, they'll do billboards, because there's this perception, regardless of whether or not it's true.
Yeah.
But if you're out there, if you're being seen, it's because you're good. So often a lot of agents will say, I don't want to do the open houses, I don't want to do any community stuff. But putting yourself in front of people where you can be seen, even if nobody comes to the open house, but if you can leverage it properly to get people to see that you did the open house, I think there's a lot of positive in that. What is seen is good, and what is good gets seen.
We talked about this in the training with a bunch of new agents today. This is where your organic lead strategy has to take over, but it takes time to get seen. It takes time to be seen multiple times unless you really force it. So if you don't have these activity-based prospecting methods, knocking doors, cold calling, open houses, to help you be seen at the same time you're working on your comprehensive brand strategy to develop and take time, then you are going to completely miss the mark. Right. If you are not seen, you are not understood as an expert in this business. That's why the first point that we talked about was what do you want to be seen as? I think what is very interesting is that perception is reality. It doesn't matter what reality is, it's the perception of that reality that people are going to pay attention to. You get the chance as the agent, as the co-creator of your personal brand, to determine what the perception of you is when you are seen. How are you going to do it? And this is where I think social media makes so much sense. I keep going back to social media, social media, social media. People do not understand. Social media is the only one of these targeted activities that we have talked about that costs you $0 to do. Whereas the money spent, it's on the front end, creating the content and creating content that people want to consume. So if you are not jumping into social media as a way of being seen, it's the only one that is free. If you want to be on the side of a bus, it costs you money. If you want to be on a billboard, it costs you money. You want to be on the radio,
costs you money.
Costs you money.
And my original broker, he would always say, make yourself busy and then show people what you're doing. What he meant by that was, go do the open house. Go do showings. I was a showing agent early on, so he would say, don't just go do the showings, show people that you're busy. Because when you show people that you're busy, the perception is, okay, he's busy, he's helping other consumers, that means other consumers trust him, I should trust him too, he's got a lot of stuff going on, he must know what it's, so you can create that.
Well, we talk about that all the time in here. I don't want my agents creating content. I want them documenting what they're already doing. Right. Why are we at Real? Because we feel like Real is a transaction-based brokerage. Right. We want to be where the transactions are, because if you have the transactions, everything else can follow if you market it correctly.
The punchline is, do shit, and then tell people about it. That's the punchline. Here we go. Last one. That's you. You're going to have to get closer there.
I did not. Is that the one I sent you?
We're going for it, though. We're doing this. Here we go. Mentor culture in the real estate industry is churning out some really bad agents. It is a sad state of affairs.
Statistically speaking, these mentors are a 62-year-old white woman, so I blame them. That was kind of a spicy response.
That was a spicy response.
I didn't mean to bring race
But let's
into
talk
this.
about coaching culture, though.
Can we talk about where I got the 62-year-old white woman first,
yes,
too?
go ahead.
I don't want people just thinking, like, assuming that I'm coming up with some racist terms to throw out there. This is, according to NAR, this is your average real estate agent across the United States. Correct. Is a 62-year-old white woman. So that was not me just throwing some shade out there, the 62-year-old white women. That was me saying that the industry average is a real estate agent, so I think you can make the assumption that that is who your real estate average mentor is. Yes. Is a 62-year-old white woman, and their practices are that of a 62-year-old white woman. So go ahead.
So here's what I'll say about coaching culture, mentorship culture. And I know you'll talk about one portion of it, but in my opinion, there are two camps. And if you can become a hybrid, you're a mutant that will really, really do well. Camp A is agents that transact a lot, is the agents that sell a lot of homes, that then they try to help other people do the same. The issue with that is that there's a difference between being an educator and being a producer. So there are a lot of very successful agents in terms of sales that don't know how to coach anybody, they don't know how to teach, they don't have good communication skills, they're not going to do well. Then you have the other camp of agents that don't sell, but they do have the communication skills. So they don't necessarily have the experience, but they can talk some shit. And so they jump into coaching and they try to regurgitate stuff, they try to make stuff up, they try to get stuff from books, but they haven't done it. In my opinion, the hybrid, the only one that works is the agent that can sell, that has sold, that has a track record, that adds those layers of communication skills and becomes a strong educator. Those are the people that you're looking for. The reason why these kinds of posts exist is because you're with one or the other. The salesman that just can't communicate, so you never learn anything because they suck at this, or the BS kid that can talk some shit, talk sweet to you, but hasn't actually done anything.
Which one do I fall into? The first one? The first one.
No.
I'm a producer.
At first, yes.
I'm a producer.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where it has absolutely been a learning curve having to teach people
Yes.
what you do in order to be successful. But I would say I have learned more when you have to teach somebody something. And I think that if we could go back to what the point of a mentor is, part of why I think that the coaching world exists as prevalent as it is in our industry is because the mentors have fallen off the mark. I think that the coaching industry within our industry is completely broken.
I agree.
I think 97% of them could completely stop coaching today and nobody in the real estate market would even notice that they dropped out. I don't think that they're offering anything of value. I don't think that they actually know how to do it. Otherwise they would be doing it. I think the biggest difference, and we've talked about this before, the biggest difference between a coach and a mentor is that a coach expects you to pay them up front before results are seen. A mentor is okay being paid and compensated once the thing is actually working for you.
And that's a massive difference, by the way.
so-
it's the difference.
And so if you are looking for one or the other, to me, if you were looking for a mentor within this business, I would go to a brokerage that is mentor friendly. What I mean by that is it doesn't matter what brokerage you join. If you are really good at what you do, two things are naturally going to happen. Number one, agents are going to be drawn and want to come into your brokerage because you're succeeding.
Yeah.
But number two is that you are going to be asked to give back to the brokerage. You're going to be asked to lead some trainings. You're going to be asked to train some new agents. So if you are at a brokerage that is not incentivizing agents that brought you into the brokerage or that are in charge of mentoring you, you're never going to be mentored appropriately. Why? Because they are not compensated to do so. When I was in my production days, if I was not compensated to go and mentor somebody, when you're selling a house every 36 hours, if I go and take 4 hours of time for you,
That's a chunk.
It's a chunk of money for me. So if you are not at a brokerage that is incentivizing these mentors to turn around and help the people behind them, you're never going to have somebody that you deem as an appropriate mentor. for
Yeah,
you.
and the last thing I'll add to that is there's a lot of shiny object syndrome within the coaching industry. People jump around. You jump from one program to another program, you go to the door knocking program, and you do that for 4 hours. And then you go to the TikTok class, and then the Reels course, and then and you're just jumping all around. So if you're gonna dive into that, if you're someone that says, okay, I get the whole mentorship point, but I don't have one, so what do I do? Whatever you're gonna do, stick with it. Stick with it. If you're gonna choose a door knocking course, if you're gonna choose a cold calling course, whatever it is, stick to it. Actually do it. Actually give it a chance. And whatever the coach says, try it. Are there some good programs out there? Yes, I agree that most of it is shit. But there are some good ones. If you find one, stick to it. Don't quit.
And there are so many free resources out there.
YouTube University.
One of those that's absolutely incredible, the Future Agent Podcast, hosted
Future
by
Agent
us.
Podcast, not bad.
Monday at 2 p.m.
That's
Mountain Standard
right.
Time. Log in. But if you're wanting more, if you're wanting something else outside of just that, come and join Real Broker and we'll do it for free.
We got you.
Anything else?
That's it. That's a wrap.
Oh, what's Travis saying? Hold on. Hello, Boo. Check your emoji for building permit numbers. Let's see. Check your email for building permits in Utah. It's enlightening as to see what will happen with inventory and pricing. We'll break that down next time.
We'll break that down. That is an interesting point, though.
I'm telling you.
And
it's
his
going
chart.
to be frightening.
So let's do this. That's chart number one.
That's
and
chart
then
number
the
one.
other chart of agents on track to do 5 or more.
You're gonna piss some people off with that one.
Let's go.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.